Tonight we got an interesting speech. I don't think in TGIF we've had too many of these podcast projects. Part of it's because the effort required to give the speech is huge. There are very few speeches that require you to work at something for 7 years before you can give the speech. Now, not every podcast speech requires 7 years of a podcast library and professional interviewing skills. But tonight, Jenny shared a bit of her podcast experience. And so I thought with the first bit of 2-3 minutes, the introduction was very clear, and you're able to kind of bring us up to speed. It's difficult with anything that's been going on for 7 years. I tried to watch One Piece. One Piece has 1,000 episodes. How do you catch up on 1,000 episodes? So tonight, what I really loved was you explained the format of the show very well. You explained the particular clip rather clearly, and generally what you were trying to achieve with the clip, and then played it. Excellently done. I also thought that there was a bit of like a technical difficulty, transition was still smooth, really nicely done. The challenging part of this, of course, is then you play the podcast for 5 to 10 minutes, and how do you keep us engaged for 10 minutes, right, with no visuals? And to Jenny's credit, I thought something that she did that was very effective during kind of her interview is rather than just talk about the movie, do the review, talk about the movie, do a review, she brought in some small tidbits or extra pieces of information. Now, as a presenter for a podcast, this is sort of her key job, is to bring in more content. And so part of it was like, let's talk about the Loch Ness Monster. Let's talk about video gaming. Really nicely done. And my main suggestion, and I think the hard part about this particular clip is, it acts like an interview, but it's also just kind of a conversation. In a normal interview, you have more control to guide the conversation. But I think a little bit more force could have helped to guide it even more and tighten the conversation just a little bit. Podcasts like that have to ride this fine line of, oh, it sounds like two friends chatting and I'm just there along for the ride. But if it sounds too much like two friends chatting, then it's hard for us to get in. So I think guiding it a little bit more could be helpful. Your best moment with that though, because there was one part that really stood out to me, was when you were talking about why do we like disaster movies? And you asked her, well, can we dig deeper? And you asked, do you have a theory? And she talks about relief. And you said, well, better on the screen than in real life, you know what I'm saying? And I thought this part was a really good example of an area you can lean in on more. Find a good point and then drive the conversation there. Continue to do that, and I think the podcast and that interview style will get really strengthened. I know your reviews are great, and so I hope this won't come across as a strong criticism. But I think bringing in that interview kind of style even to a relaxed conversation can elevate that whole package. I look forward to the next episode. General Evaluator.